Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Byron Stripling, and welcome to Offstage Live. We are pleased and privileged to have with us two amazing musicians. To my right, we have on the B3 Hammond organ. This is John Eshelman right there. And then to my right, the Toronto genius, we call him. The Canadian from wherever. The Canadian from Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pete Mills, and they're going to play for you Rain Check. That's the great Pete Mills right there with John Eshelman. We thank you for Rain Check. Before we go any further, a couple hellos. We want to say hello to Dave Huddle, who I think is a grandfather. I think if I remember hearing, yeah, like a new grandchild or something in the mix. You'll clear me up. Dave and Cindy will clear me up on all of that. So thank you for joining us. Usually we'd be seeing them on a Sunday anyway, right there in the front row. So great to hear from him. We want to thank everyone that contributed to our Big Give campaign sponsored by the Columbus Foundation. We received over 170 individual gifts. And here are just the name of 4 people that were, donors that we want to acknowledge. Haley Craig, Jennifer Simon, Karen Scranton, Laura Smith, and everyone else who donated. And so many of you, we're going to give you a personal thank you via card or email or something like that. But we certainly love and appreciate all the support that you've given us through this time. We would not be standing here in this room without you. Now, you heard great music today, and you heard Pete Mills already killing it on Rain Check. Now, is there something about, because ever since I've known you, you've always talked about Ellington. Where does that come from? Is that something you just naturally attracted to Ellington, or was there an influence there that brought you there?
Well, my father was naturally attracted to Ellington. Ellington and Louis Armstrong and Billy Strayhorn in particular. He just loved their music. And the music of those gentlemen and many others was around my house when I was growing up.
You know, you shared pictures with us of some of the people that your father saw in Canada.
Mm-hmm. My father, there's a great photograph, and I actually put it up on my social media today, of my dad right next to the piano, and Ellington's playing the piano, and it was apparently a concert he was giving at the Toronto Musicians Association, some kind of gala. Mm-hmm. And my dad's there, and he's got his eyes closed, and he's got his head tilted, and I think he's grooving to the music.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ellington's music is important to all of us who play this great music, and important to me because my father introduced me to his music, and in particular, the music of Billy Strayhorn.
Yeah.
So, today's Father's Day, and I was thinking about how we could celebrate fathers, and I celebrate my father when I play the music that he introduced to me, Ellington and Strayhorn's music, all of the time. And I kind of stepped back from this and thought, how can we continue with a program celebrating fathers, not only paternal fathers, but how about fathers as mentors? And I thought to myself, well, there's some amazing fathers that I know here in our community, and there's some music that's been created by fathers or dedicated to fathers. And John and I are going to play kind of a medley right now. The second song is dedicated to a young lady who turned 9 just last week. Her name is Elora Adams. And 9 years ago in 8 days, her father gave me a call, and that's the great Dwight Adams. And he let me know that Elora was joining us. And I was in the midst of writing this tune. So I thought to myself, the name of this tune has to be the name of Elora. Yeah. So the second tune in our little medley is called Elora Dolce, and it's dedicated to Elora Adams, a feisty, beautiful young lady. And the idea of fathers as mentors and paternal fathers comes into play too. Uncles can be fathers, father figures too. And one of my great friends and a musical compatriot of mine wrote this song dedicated to his yet-to-be-born niece, Zadie. And this is, we're going to start our little medley off here with a song that was written by Zach Compton. And it's called Z is for Zadie. So we hope you like these.
Pete Mills with that great medley. We appreciate that so much. Pete, by the way, we should let you know that your mom is watching,
Hi, Mom.
and she says to pull out. No.
Am I that
It's a
sharp?
bit sharp, yes.
Bit sharp on the internet.
No, we're pleased to have her joining us, and I also got a chance to meet your mother. I think a couple times
yep.
I've gotten to meet her, and a beautiful lady. So this is for also, in addition to your father, we want to say a big hello to Mary Ellen Mills. By the way, we not only have people watching in Canada, but technically we have someone from Australia watching this show.
Oh,
and
hey,
that's
Nikki.
Nikki Parrott is watching, and she's not in Australia, but she's from Australia, so we count that as somebody from Australia is watching us, you know. So
She does some amazing things recently, cooking and
her
jazz.
cooking and also like playing at the same
It's
time.
crazy.
And doing,
It's beautiful.
It's incredible. We love her so much, and also Meredith E. It's like Sheila E.'s friend, I guess, and your wife, yes. Meredith, how you doing? And thank you so much for joining us. What are you doing next, Pete?
Well, we thought to take the theme of the idea of fathers as mentors and talk a little bit about and play some music of some of our influences, our fathers, if you will, in the musical community here in Columbus. Before I turn it over to John, I just want to kind of give a little shout out to some of the great fathers and musicians who we know here. One of them's right here. You're an amazing musician and an amazing dad of some beautiful women. I think of some of my saxophone compatriots. Sean Wallace, his son Moses is a beautiful kid. Chad Eby's got some great children. Eddie Baird has a beautiful daughter, and Eddie is one of my great influences. I love his saxophone playing so much. In our orchestra, Jimmy Masters is a father and a granddad. Bob Breithaupt. How about a shout out to Bobby Floyd?
That's right.
So there's so many incredible, Kevin Turner, there's so many incredible fathers, musicians, and community members who we think of when we think of our musical mentors here. And when we were putting this program together, I was excited that John was able to play the organ and play with me. Because when we think of musical fathers, if you will, of Columbus, the Hammond B3 is front and center. And among the many organists who are important to us is the great Hank Marr and all of the associated amazing musicians who played with him, Rusty Bryant, Gene Walker, so many others, Wilbert Longmire. And you had a chance to study with Hank, and I had a very small opportunity, a few opportunities to spend time with him and also play with him. But why don't you, I'd like to turn it over to you for a sec. John, tell us a little bit about your association with Hank, and then we're going to play something to celebrate Hank as one of our musical fathers here in Columbus.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Well, I thought I'd start with my father, who's a musician and a tuba player and a bass player, and we always listened to music together, always for fun, and so he was a big influence on me. But we never listened much to jazz until I got into high school. I was getting into high school, and I got into the high school jazz band, and I thought, I have no idea what to do now. I had studied piano, but I didn't know anything about jazz. And my dad took me to hear the Jazz Arts Group, and I saw Hank Marr playing the piano, and that was the thing that stood out to me. I just thought, that's the way to play jazz piano, and I wish I could play like that. So I was not a very bold youngster, but with trembling hands, I pulled out the family white pages and looked up Hank Marr, and I gave him a call, and I was scared to death, and I said...
You just called him on the phone?
I called him on the phone, and he answered, and I said, hello, Mr. Marr, my name is John Eshelman. I would go to Westerville North High School, and I would like to learn about jazz piano if you would teach me. And he said, oh, sure, yeah, come on over to the house, and it just was kind to me from moment one. So I went and studied with him while I was in high school, and then went and studied with him at Ohio State, and he was very, just always embodied everything I wanted to do when I was playing. I just loved to listen to him. I loved to watch him. He was one of those guys that always had a smile on his face when he was playing, and I just thought that's the way I want this music to be. So he was my huge musical father. And then, of course, many others after that. Of course, at Ohio State, I met Gene Walker, too, and played in his band for a long time, and he taught me a lot about the closest long-term working band experience I ever had, so that was great.
Wow.
So I guess I would take this opportunity to say thanks to Hank and to Gene and to all the other musical mentors in Columbus, Ohio. We have such a rich community.
So how about if we play something? Hank wrote this tune, right? Yeah, and it's actually off. It's the title of a record from 1969, King Records, right? Called "The Greasy Spoon." And if you go find that on the internet, you'll see a great photograph of the band, and they're all wearing these super hip powder blue jackets. So I thought I'd bring my little powder blue jacket out tonight. So this is going to feature John. This is the Greasy Spoon Blues. Yeah, John Eshelman on the Hammond B3 organ, celebrating one of our musical fathers here in Columbus, the great organist Hank Marr. So many musicians played with him that were influences of me. I think of course, Gene Walker, and then recently, in the recent history, I spent a lot of time listening to the great saxophonist Rusty Bryant, and my goodness, their music is so powerful and fun. And as I think about the idea of Father's Day, again, we kind of bring it a little bit bigger, and we think about the musical fathers of this music. And I come first back to my dad, because my dad, he shared this music with me, and he helped me appreciate the glory of this great music that is of great African Americans like Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington. And that music is with me eternally. And when I get up in the morning, I'm chasing these amazing sounds. And I'm so grateful. It's brought me here to Columbus to play with this incredible community of musicians, too. When I think of this music, I think of melody. And that's one of the things that my father also spoke to me a lot about the importance of melody in the music. And I try to do my best to play with as much melody as I can. And then as a writer, I look to composers who create beautiful melodies. I mentioned Billy Strayhorn earlier and Duke Ellington. Horace Silver's a guy who all of his music has incredible little nuggets of beauty and things that you can take and listen to, and they become inside your head real quickly and fun. So I wrote a tune recently that kind of strives to get at that a little bit. So we're going to play this for you. This is a pretty new tune. I wrote it this year. It's called Sliver of Silver.
great Pete Mills and John Eshelman. Gentlemen, we want to thank you for the wonderful weather. You've inspired us this afternoon. And we want to give a quick shout out to two more people, Rosemary Litzinger, who's, you know, Rosemary. We love her so much. You know, I was doing a gig at a coffee shop one time, and she grabbed my CDs and started selling them to everybody. She's like, you got to buy this. You got to buy this. But nobody loves jazz more than her. And also Melinda Gleisner, we love you so much, and we thank you, and good luck to your son, Ian, as he goes to the Eastman School of Music.
Our alma mater.
That's right. Both Pete and I went to Eastman School of Music. If you're careful, you might end up like us. Is that bad? Yeah, that's bad. So, but thank you to everyone who's listened. And Pete, thank you for all you do for music in Columbus. You've had a consistent gig at
the Park Street Tavern.
Park Street Tavern. And when will that start up? Do you any thoughts? Soon.
Soon. We're looking at ways to be responsible about bringing the jam session back. We're in our 15th year.
Yes, and that's an amazing record for any city or state to have a great jazz gig like that go on.
So it'll be back. We just
Yeah.
have to make sure we're responsible and safe, and it'll be back. We have to have it back.
Absolutely. And is there a way that we can hear both of you gentlemen offline? I mean, is your CD available anywhere online, or we have to get it from you?
No, you can find 3 of my records.
I didn't talk about 3, just 1. He's promoting the whole catalog now.
You can find 75% of my catalog on the free listenings. No, you can find me on Spotify, on Apple Music. There are physical CDs somewhere in the world available for purchase.
Yeah.
There's probably a few in my trunk of my car, too, if you can find me. And I play with John in an organ group. And we'll be doing some things probably at the Mansion.
Right, and I saw you guys play there the other day.
We did. We did a live stream, which
Yeah.
was super fun. I think we're also likely doing an outdoor event at Land Grant in July.
Okay. And who's the trumpet player on that?
Are you available? It doesn't pay a whole lot, but I think I could probably
Well, I'm
get you-
asking because I am available.
I can get you free beer.
And the point is I never got a call.
Oh,
was the reason.
I texted you. I WhatsApped
My text
you or
doesn't
something.
work, so just call me next time. Please, ladies and gentlemen, we need gigs here. Pete, tell us how we're going to close this thing out.
Okay, enough of that. So, one of the greatest musical mentors of modern jazz is Charlie Parker, and he and Dizzy Gillespie, I think they created everything that is almost everything of modern jazz. So we're incredibly indebted to them. Their music is beautiful and swinging and fun. And this is the 100th anniversary of Charlie's birth. 2020. So he was born in 1920. And you knew Dizzy Gillespie, right? Yep. That's amazing. That's amazing. So I wrote a little song just a couple of months ago celebrating the sounds of Charlie Parker. And it's called Bird Lives, and you're going to play on it with us. Okay, cool.
And I can also play this at your next gig, too, just so I'm available.
I think I might only have one gig left. Thanks to everybody for listening and watching. One, two.